One of the best and worst things about having Hashimoto's disease is that your diet has a big influence on how you feel. This is a two-edged sword, though, because it's good because you can control how you feel, but it's bad because you are responsible for everything you put in your mouth. For example, if you feel like eating a donut, you should be careful because the processed sugar and gluten may trigger your immune system. If you want to have a quick bowl of cereal for breakfast, you should reconsider because the dairy may raise your TSD levels. You might be safe if you only eat vegetables. As far as food groups go, those that contain goitrogenic compounds, which can block the uptake of iodine, are the most likely to exacerbate your Hashimoto's disease. The first food group is gluten-containing foods. Not all people with Hashimoto's will need to avoid this protein, which is present in most grains, but it is true that patients with Hashimoto's who avoid it frequently benefit. What we know about gluten is that there are two types of gluten sensitivity: celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease, and non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which is a non-autoimmune disease. Second, even in healthy people, eating gluten may increase intestinal permeability and inflammation in the gut, making it potentially unhealthy to consume, even if you don't have a gluten sensitivity. Both of these conditions are more common in Hashimoto's patients than in the general population. Third, modern wheat's gluten content has significantly increased due to genetic hybridization, making it harder to digest. Fourth, many Hashimoto's patients report that their symptoms improve when they cut out gluten from their diet. Some studies even support this suggestion. Let me clarify that gluten is not always or necessarily something that every patient with Hashimoto's disease should avoid, but it is definitely worth trying to go gluten-free to see if it helps. Even if you don't actually have a gluten problem, you will probably see an improvement in your symptoms because eliminating gluten automatically eliminates a lot of unhealthy and inflammatory foods. If you enjoy baking and think that eliminating wheat is unthinkable, try ancient grains like kamut or corn. Iodized salt comes in second on the list, but it's important to note that iodine and iodized salt are not the same thing. Iodized salt is just salt that has been fortified with a small amount of extra iodine. If you have Hashimoto's disease, you have likely been told that you should avoid iodine from all sources. This makes sense, so you should also avoid iodine salt. But if you are thinking this way, you are mistaken. Iodine is not always harmful if you have Hashimoto's, but it can cause problems if used improperly. The reason I advise against consuming iodized salt is because it may be harmful. But it's not bad because of the iodine. Rather, it's bad because if you take it this way, you're consuming it without other protective nutrients like selenium. We have good reason to think that Hashimoto's disease is caused by an imbalance between iodine and selenium. Iodine, when taken, encourages the thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormones, but this needs to be balanced by the antioxidants that are produced when you take selenium. If you take one without the other, you might tip the scales from protective to inflammatory thyroid glands. A big thank you to those of you who've stuck with us this far. Creating these videos takes significant effort and dedication, so if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow. Now, let's get back to the video. Because of this, it's usually a good idea to take selenium if you have Hashimoto's disease and you're taking iodine. Unfortunately, iodine salt only contains iodine, and dairy products are number 3 on the list. When removing dairy from their diet, many Hashimoto's patients will notice an almost immediate improvement in their symptoms. To begin with, a large portion of the population has difficulty digesting lactose. Depending on the study, this number can reach 70%. However, if you look a little deeper, you'll also find that many people have trouble digesting dairy proteins. And depending on where you look, this figure can reach 20%. What relevance does all of this have for Hashimoto's patients? Here is what we know, but it's not as clear as you may assume. Research appears to indicate that consuming more dairy products, such as milk, may have detrimental effects on thyroid blood tests and the immune system. Research has demonstrated that individuals with Hashimoto's disease who abstain from dairy experience a decrease in TSH and thyroid antibodies. It is currently believed that at least for certain individuals, dairy consumption and the lactose and casein it contains may cause intestinal inflammation, which in turn promotes immunological dysfunction. There are, nevertheless, several potential contributing elements. For example, dairy proteins may contain antibiotics and animal hormones that can act as endocrine disruptors when they are introduced into our bodies, and they may also have a structure similar to some proteins found in our own bodies, which could increase the reactivity between our immune system and our own tissues. In summary, many people report improvements in their thyroids after cutting out dairy from their diet. If you feel that you must have dairy in your diet, you might want to look into these alternatives. Similar to gluten, a 2-protein milk lactose-free milk hard cheeses naturally have less lactose, as does feta or goat cheese. The fourth item on the list is soy. Why is soy a problem? Your tolerance to dairy may differ from someone else's, but it's always worthwhile to try being dairy-free for a brief while to see whether it works for you. However, it's also true that soy may exacerbate issues for patients with Hashimoto's disease for 3 reasons. First, soy has an estrogenic effect on the body, which is great if you're in a low estrogen state like menopause. Soy does contain powerful bioactive compounds called isoflavones, which have been shown to have positive effects on both heart and bone health. But not so good if you already have trouble excreting estrogen, as most thyroid patients do. Secondly, they can act as a goitrogenic compound, which lowers iodine uptake into the thyroid gland. Patients with Hashimoto's disease already have trouble producing thyroid hormone, so this could exacerbate that issue. Thirdly, the majority of soy sources are severely processed and genetically modified. The solution to the soy problem is to focus on both amount and quality, because food processing lowers the micronutrient content and causes inflammation. Coffee is number 5. If you want to eat soy, limit your intake, and it's best if it's fermented or comes as a whole meal that hasn't been genetically engineered. Don't blame the messenger, but coffee is something you should probably avoid if you have Hashimoto's disease. This is because coffee, and consequently the caffeine it contains, may decrease the absorption of thyroid medications and negatively impact pituitary function. For instance, one case study revealed that a woman who took her levothyroxine with a sip of coffee saw a significant decrease in her TSH from 8 to roughly 2 simply by quitting this habit. Beyond this, though, coffee and caffeine also stimulate the adrenal glands, which is why most people enjoy coffee because it gives them energy. The problem is that this is not a natural source of energy, and it can strain an already strained adrenal system, which will only lead to more fatigue later on. Some people will also tell you that coffee and even caffeine may have a positive effect on thyroid function. If this is the case, then it exists with low amounts of caffeine consumption. In my experience, most people quickly surpass this low therapeutic level and take more than they need. However, I can tell you from experience that many patients with Hashimoto's will have more energy and better sleep if they give up coffee. If you're a coffee lover, stick to decaf and make sure your daily caffeine intake is between 25 and 50 milligrams. Alcohol comes in at number 6 on the list. You should consider alcohol to be a poison to your thyroid because it damages liver cells, which are essential for processing thyroid hormones. In fact, the liver is where most of the T4 in your body is converted to T3. It also negatively affects your pituitary gland. Alcohol has much less nuance than some of the other food groups we've covered so far, so just stay away from it. The more damage you inflict to your liver, the lower your T3 will be. 100% your thyroid will thank you, as will the rest of your body. Number 7 are ultra-processed foods. This should be another obvious one, but it's missed by so many thyroid patients. Why? Because research indicates that the average person does not know how to identify a processed food. Just so you aren't confused, here is a simple definition: ultra-processed foods are ones that are impossible to prepare at home. Consuming these meals can have detrimental impacts on your health and thyroid gland, since they contain chemicals, preservatives, sweeteners, flavor additives, and other artificial components that make them less like foods and more like chemicals. Reduced intake of these foods can naturally lower inflammation, improve thyroid function, aid in weight loss, and normalize food cravings. If you aren't already avoiding ultra-processed foods, the eighth time is refined processed sugar. However, it's important to note that there is a difference between processed sugar and sugar found in whole foods. One is awful. One is flawless, as is the processed version. Consuming processed sugar in the whole food version raises your already elevated risk of developing diabetes, insulin resistance, and weight gain as a thyroid patient. However, this is not the case with whole food sources of sugar and carbohydrates, such as 100% fruit juice, table sugar, brown sugar, powdered sugar corn syrup, and high fructose corn syrup are processed sugars that you should stay away from. Honey and date syrup are whole food sources that you shouldn't be scared of. Fruits, maple syrup, agave syrup, and pure fruit juice. You can eat 100 grams of these carbohydrate-based meals every day as a thyroid patient without worrying about blood sugar levels or weight gain. But processed and refined sugars will create those issues. Number 9 is industrial seed oil. The effects of seed oils on health are a contentious issue, depending on where you look and who is funding the study. You may hear that they are either a superfood that is good for your heart or a junk food that causes inflammation. However, if you have a thyroid condition, I would advise you to stay away from these oils like the plague. These oils require extensive processing that prevents you from making them at home. Since there are other whole food sources of fats available, why are these exempt if other ultra-processed foods are unhealthy and should be avoided? Second, seed oils have a less stable structure than other fats, which makes them more prone to oxidation and having a shorter shelf life. Third, when heated and reheated, they can produce toxic byproducts, such as aldehydes, which have been shown to have a negative impact on health. Fourth, they contain high amounts of omega-6 fatty acids, which may exacerbate inflammation. If you want to keep these seed oils in your diet for any reason, make sure you limit your intake to 1 tablespoon per day. If you've never heard of seed oils, here is a list of them. Why even take the risk of eating these? It just doesn't make sense. I know from personal experience that thyroid patients who avoid them frequently see improvements in both their thyroid and overall health. Peanut oil, rice bran oil, soybean oil, corn oil, safflower oil, wheat germ oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, and grapeseed oil. These oils are present in almost everything, including processed foods and those prepared in dining establishments. This list of cooking oils that you should use instead is, in my opinion, far easier to remember. It includes butter from grass-fed cows, cold-pressed coconut oil, and extra virgin olive oil. Many patients with Hashimoto's disease are confused by the inclusion of certain vegetables at number 10 on the list. Some people may argue that if you have Hashimoto's, you should avoid vegetables. But this is untrue. Vegetables are fantastic for your thyroid, and you should be eating 4 to 5 servings a day. Nevertheless, it is true that some vegetables do contain goitrogenic compounds that may prevent the thyroid gland from absorbing iodine. While this is a minor drawback, the advantages of eating these vegetables far exceed this, and there are 2 simple ways to overcome this issue. Prior to eating vegetables, first boil or steam them, and then take more iodine. Taking additional iodine means that it simply outcompetes the goitrogens, so no, if you have Hashimoto's disease, don't avoid vegetables. Proper preparation can reduce their goitrogenic concentration by up to 50%. However, since several supplements have been shown in clinical trials to lower thyroid antibodies, your diet shouldn't be your only strategy. Thank you for watching this video on the top 10 worst foods for Hashimoto's. We hope you found the information helpful and that it gives you a better understanding of how to manage your thyroid health and make smarter dietary choices. As we've discussed, certain foods can exacerbate the symptoms of Hashimoto's thyroiditis and make it harder to achieve balance. By being mindful of what you eat, you can help reduce inflammation, support your immune system, and improve your overall well-being. Remember, everyone's body is different, so it's important to consult with your healthcare provider before making major changes to your diet. At Health Angel Solutions, we are committed to providing you with valuable insights and tips to help you live a healthier, happier life. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please like and share it with your friends or family who may benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this, as we regularly upload videos focused on health, wellness, and practical solutions for managing various conditions. Your support helps us continue to create helpful videos for people looking to improve their health and quality of life. If you have any questions or would like to share your experiences with Hashimoto's, feel free to leave a comment down below. We love hearing from our community and are always here to help. Thank you for being part of the Health Angel Solutions family, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Stay healthy and take care of your thyroid.